We're live, according to my end.
My end is coming live in 2 seconds, but everybody's gonna, here we go, done, redirecting, boom, doing its thing. Boom, here we go. Okay. Welcome Facebook, Instagram, all the people in the tech world. My name's Dr. Cordie Williams, and if you're on Greg's Instagram, you won't hate me anymore. Hopefully you won't, because Greg can put out there that I've got now we have the fiber optic cable and we have a Verizon pack to make sure we've got every camera known to man. We've tried to get really tech savvy over here, but I just want to welcome you guys. We've got a special guest today. This is our third try of doing this. We've kind of attempted it at times, trying to have a discussion, but technology and different things, and maybe the world didn't want to hear us. I don't know what that's all about, but my name's Dr. Cordie Williams, Megaphone Marine, hashtag Megaphone Vet, 1776 forever free. And I have got an awesome dude, black belt times like 25. Guy's a stud. He can wear a large shirt and he looks like a man. I have to wear a medium, so I look like a man. And the guy's just a great dude, former Army Ranger, former police officer for the Seattle Police Department, and just an amazing patriot and human being. Greg Anderson is with us live, and we are here to talk about what's going on in Seattle. So I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let you kind of talk first, Greg, and then we'll go from there, buddy.
All right. So one little caveat: Port of Seattle Police. I wasn't with Seattle PD.
Okay,
So
I would say that, man.
it's all in Seattle, but it's different agencies.
Okay.
So
Okay. Good to know.
it's just structured a little differently for the port itself. But
Okay.
regardless, everybody always thinks we're Seattle PD, so it is what it is. Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah,
I can
no
see.
problem,
It looks like we're having a better connection than 1994 era dial-up. Like
yeah. Right? Like, what's going on? There's an earthquake. Oh no, it's Dr. Cordie's internet, right?
Yeah.
No, we got tech savvy. We even got a new camera. Got the lapel mic working. We're just tech over here, man. Got little Cordie in the background up there. We're rolling, man.
You know what's funny too is the last time we did this, the majority of the interview went well. There were some glitches and
Yeah.
it froze a couple of times, and then boom, everybody's fixated on that. Like,
well, right.
Your
And
internet sucks, dude. You suck.
I know, man. One guy's like, "Hey, doc, fix your effing internet," right? And he got all pissed. I'm like, "Chill out, bro. Chill out, right? It's not
It
my
happens. It
But,
happens.
but,
Right?
but now we got all the tech. Verizon's really happy because now they're like, I'm just like giving them so much money every month because they do my business phones and all that. But man, I just want to talk about today what's going on in Seattle, because I've seen some things on the different networks and Fox News, but I know you know a lot of people and you're connected and you really have the pulse of the area, it seems like. And so just wanted to tell your viewers, our viewers, my viewers, kind of what's happening and what you've seen and what you've heard.
So a lot of people have been hitting me up about the autonomous zone in Capitol Hill, which is an area of Seattle. And I keep telling everyone the same response. I've been pulled off patrol, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't seen anything down there with my own two eyes. And I
Yeah.
have to give that disclaimer because anything that I'm sharing with you guys, I'm hearing from friends, coworkers, and people that have been down there.
Yeah.
So for a couple days, I was like everybody else. I'm seeing these videos come across my YouTube and like Instagram feed. You're seeing dudes with AK-47s and AR-15s setting up roadblocks, and they have declared that they now control 7 city blocks of a major area of Seattle, which is called Capitol Hill. Now, the police department, and this is the kind of leadership that we're dealing with in Seattle. The police department, the chief agreed to de-escalate the situation and reduce the chances of violence, that she would tell all the police to evacuate the precinct and give the building up. Like,
wow.
So that's what happened.
Wow.
The police moved out. And then, of course, that's a victory. You know, there's a giant sign hanging on it now. It's like a 20 by 20 foot sign that they put on the police building that says this building is now owned by the people.
What a coward. What a coward, dude.
It's crazy.
That's like saying Al-Qaeda, right? That's like if we would in Gulf War I or Gulf War II, you know what? The Marines, we're just gonna let the Taliban, we're gonna let them take over. We're gonna go eat some MREs in the back there, with the Army. And no, I'm joking. And we're gonna go eat some MREs in the back here, and we're just gonna let everybody chill. I'm saying that to a special forces guy. So he knows I got mad respect. He'll put me in like a death chokehold in like 2 seconds through Zoom. They have power.
Bro, it's just bizarre that we have elected, I like to call them elected officials, not community leaders, because they're not displaying any leadership capability, right?
Yeah.
And they're not, leadership is something that I pride myself on. I've held different leadership positions, but I'm not an extremely experienced leader myself. But you learn leadership both leading yourself and then following competent, sound, strong leaders. And
Yeah.
I've worked under some of the best in the world. And so when you see these people that are in supposed leadership positions, just making calls that are based in nothing more than saving political face and
Yeah.
not trying to stir the pot and not trying to get anyone upset. Like, you try and keep everybody happy and just let these people run amok in your city. You're just kicking the can down the street.
Well, what we said in the Marine Corps, we always said leadership by example, right?
Yeah.
So leadership by example. So now your subordinates and junior Marines don't respect you, right? And now you've emboldened the enemy, because now the enemy, to your point, is like, oh, we got a victory. These guys aren't serious. We can do whatever we want. We can push the needle as far as we want.
That's exactly right. And this is what's so frustrating to me, because I look at these types of events as combating an insurgency, right? Yeah, it's on American soil. They're American citizens. There are differences, but what we're going against right now is an ideology.
Yeah.
Just like we fought an ideology on the other side of the world for the last 20 years. And there's two ways to combat an ideology. You have to kill them all so that ideology no longer exists, or you have to take proactive steps right from the beginning to get your boots on the ground, figure out what's going on, and figure out how to work with the group of people that you are trying to change their perspective of. And even more so in the States, that should be applicable, because go into the cities as the leaders, go in, have fucking conversations with people, see what their expectations are for the police departments, see what their expectations are in funding. And I'm telling you, man, just validating the need to be heard is the first step to moving this in a positive direction.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that, defund the police and a lot of the asinine things that they're requesting. There's not a logical conversation to be had, but
like do that if you want total anarchy.
Yeah, exactly.
No society at all.
But just to go hands off.
Yeah.
And take a step back and move all the police out and just let these people do whatever they want. Just like you said, now you've emboldened them. Now we're going to be playing catch up already. Whenever we do decide, whenever they come up with whatever plan to take control of that part of the city again, every moment that you wait is going to make it exponentially more difficult.
Well, and I saw something, Greg, a couple of things I was going to say. It's fascinating. We said this, I think, on the first or second video, the interview that you and I had. We talked about the George Floyd situation a little bit, and we talked about the rioting, stuff like that. And I can't help but think, and I don't want to, I'm not here, my organization is not a political one. And what I mean by that is we're all about America. If you bleed red, white, and blue, you believe in the Constitution and you pay your taxes, we want you to be on board with us, right? Like patriots, that's what it's all about, right? Patriots that care about America. And it's fascinating to me that I can't help but think whether we're talking about a president that's Republican or a Democrat, right? Here we are 4 or 5 months away from an election, right? And all these moves appear to be made or almost in place as like a strategical like decision or kind of movement. Like, I can't
100%.
Like, is the mayor, the governor, and this chief of police, I'm just wondering what the backstory is there, because the governor, Islip,
Inslee.
Governor Moron, what's his name?
Yeah, Inslee.
He's like him and Newsom. They need to go to an island by themselves somewhere, right? Yeah, and secretly maybe they'll be in a jail cell and they'll hang themselves. I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky. I don't know. But at any rate, it's fascinating to me that he said in an interview yesterday, he said a reporter asked him, "Yeah, what do you think about what's going on at Capitol Hill?" bro. And he like looked into the camera and he said, yeah, I don't know anything about that. And I'm like, wow, he acted like he doesn't even know about it. He's going to deny it, right? That it's happening.
Hey, deny and then shift responsibility elsewhere, you know? Like something that Inslee did is when Trump was initially saying, hey, I want to get involved in opening up all the states again.
Yeah.
I want the federal government to be involved in that. What did all the Democratic governors say? We can run our own states. You stay out of this.
Yeah.
That's overreach of power, right? And now, fast forward a couple more weeks. Now, what are they saying? We're not getting the support from the White House that we need. It's any opportunity they have to take a jab at Trump, they're using it. And this is my theory, man. And this isn't based in any kind of data or facts. This is just having two open eyes and watching what's happening nationwide. Okay. Coronavirus. Yes. The coronavirus was a real virus. Yes. It killed a lot of people. But if you can't understand that the media and certain politicians didn't use that, they used it, they weaponized it.
Yeah.
They used that as an advantage to, or to their advantage to push their political agenda. And right now, what's the political agenda? In my personal opinion, it's cause turmoil, cause division, cause unrest. And what that's going to do is come November, people are going to be like, dude, the country's been in shambles for the last 6 months. Trump's fault.
Yeah.
Let's try something different, right? Yeah. So they want to perpetuate this problem. And this is what makes me realize it. And 99% of my views are on the right. And I'm a pretty conservative person, but I'm also open to discussions. And I don't like to pigeonhole myself with a political affiliation or a certain candidate or a certain party, because as a person, I think it's important to look into all different angles, right?
100%, dude.
So I was talking to these girls that I'm friends with who are police officers who are far left liberals, right?
Yeah.
Far left liberals, hardcore Democrats. And they're like, Greg, I don't understand how through any of this, it makes sense that I can't take my kids to the park anymore. Like, or that I have to wear a mask. And I was like, look at, I said, listen, her name's Tish. I said, look, Tish, you're far left, I'm far right. And we're drawing the same conclusions on things.
Yeah.
That is scary to the people at the top. They can't have any kind of unity between the people, right? And so what I think is they started seeing people as a whole started finding out that how the coronavirus was being handled was a hoax. Yeah. And as soon as that started, that narrative started to grow roots and gain steam.
Yeah.
Well, we got to do something else. So we got to throw fuel on the fire and start a race war.
And we're not saying, and I want to be really clear to your viewers and my viewers, we're not saying that there's not legitimate people that have died. We're not saying that. As Greg said before, we're not saying that it's not a real thing. But what we're saying, when you look at the stats, the percentages, the mortality rates, the death rates, what they originally extrapolated, which John P. Iondes, the top leading epidemiologist in the entire world from Stanford, he said initially, if you're taking China and you're taking Italy and you're trying to extrapolate data points of what might happen in the US, you're already off. You're already off because of the whole way that went down. But no, man, I totally agree with you. And I also think that it's scary that, well, I think it's scary and it's great that the left and the right are coming together. It is scary to the higher ups. I think, whatever you want to call it, the swamp creatures, the deep state, the establishment. And I'm not here to get like what I want to do. And it sounds like what you want to do. And I know we've talked off camera before is, man, let's use this opportunity to come together as Americans.
Yes.
But, you know, ultimately you and I and your friend Tish, we want our kids to be able to play at the park. We want to be able to, like, I want to be able to go to church. And you know what? My First Amendment doesn't say I can have 100 people in a church.
Yeah.
Not what it says. Doesn't put
I don't know if you saw my Instagram video from a couple days ago now, but I drew a chart. I got the whiteboard out and I started writing all of this stuff.
So bad, man. No, I didn't see it.
Check it out, because it's touching on all of these exact things. Is that the political elite who are motivated by selfish measures, right? There's two kinds of leaders. There's selfish and there's selfless. The selfless leaders put their community and their troops above their own needs, right?
Yeah.
The selfish leaders are the exact opposite. They use a position of power for personal gain, financial gain, political power. And those are the people that are afraid of unity of the people, because if the people all agree on something, it's going to be crystal clear who is using their power in a corrupt manner.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the more pandemonium they can cause in the streets, it's smoke and mirrors, so they can push their agendas. And dude, and I've never been this tinfoil hat, flat earther conspiracy theorist, right? Like, I'm grounded in reality. But if you don't look at what's going on, big picture, and say, this is not making sense anymore. Like, I don't think your eyes are open. You know, the whole George Floyd thing, like, let's talk about that, man. First of all, there's one person that knows if his death was racially motivated or not, and it's Derek Chauvin, right?
100%.
So, and I'm not here to say it was or it wasn't, but at the end of the day, it was one shitty person that did a shitty thing. And here's the biggest part about that, man.
Yeah.
The system said, whoa, that was illegal. That was a crime. You're being charged with murder. Put him in handcuffs, and he's sitting in a cage right now. Okay. So the system agreed with the people.
Yeah.
Not only for the guy that did it, they said, you know what? Those other 3 cops that were there, that was pretty dirty of them too. And they're all sitting in cages as well. So if you want to take, if you want to detach, use Jocko's word, step back and look big picture, it's like, okay, the shitty cop did a shitty thing, and now he's being charged with murder.
Yeah.
To me, that says the opposite of the narrative that's being pushed, is that, you know, like, the system's rooted in racism and the system wants to go out and kill people. And like, actually, if you look at how it's playing out, the system is agreeing with the people.
Yeah.
But that's not good enough. They have to push this narrative that all cops are bad, that we all operate under a manner that's rooted in systemic racism. And again, man, I'm not here to say that systemic racism doesn't exist, or that policing procedures couldn't be modified in a more beneficial manner.
Yeah.
That funding couldn't be reallocated to different organizations to maybe focus on mental health, or there's a lot of different things that we could do moving forward.
But
And
there's a process for that.
There's a process for that. And I'm just a small piece of the puzzle. Like, big picture, I don't understand it as well as others, and I'll admit that. But I would say that the backlash that the country is receiving from this is rooted in people having a knee-jerk reaction. And when they see our politicians and our mayors standing up on the podium saying, like Jenny Durkin, our mayor, said, I want everybody to know that nationwide, the violence that we're seeing was perpetuated by white men.
Wow.
She straight said that. Wow. And it's like,
and all that's doing is adding coals to the fire.
Exactly what it's doing. It's flaming the fire. It's fanning the flame and getting people fired up and getting people angry.
That video that the lead singer of Bad Wolves did, named, I believe his last name is Vexed.
Tommy Vexed. Him and I have been talking. It's cool.
Okay,
man.
cool.
He's
cool.
A good dude. He's a solid dude.
My patient put me in touch with Tommy. It's funny, right? And he texted me yesterday, dude, I was just thinking, dude, we should do a 3-way thing with all 3 of us. Yeah. So he and I are trying to set up an interview too. What's funny is, right? It's a small world, bro. I'm telling you. But when he did the markers, he did the expo markers, and that video went viral, right? I don't know how many hits it's gotten, a bunch, I'm sure, because I got it sent 3 times to me. And I just talked to the guy like a week and a half ago, and somebody totally unrelated to him sent it to me in a private message. I'm like, right? But it's fascinating because everything he said was dialed in about the whole fact that, you know, and you can hear the Black Lives Matter people saying, hey, we're not about this. We don't want this. Is that a Jack Russell?
It's a Jack Russell.
Oh, him or her?
Him.
What's his name?
Kobe.
That's what I'm talking about.
But he's whining. So I picked him up because he's whining.
No, it's all good. I heard him.
Like, actually, I'm going to throw him out the room. I can hear you though.
So, but at any rate, what I was saying is, it's so funny because, you know, Tommy dialed it in. He put the expo markers out there, right? And he talked about how, like, Black Lives Matter, they had an agenda where they were against, like, you know, the racial part of this. To your point, you know, we don't know unless we ask that officer whether there is or not, right? And I'm not going to say as a white dude whether there is or whether there isn't, but there's no question the violence is being perpetuated by Antifa, and
Yeah.
that's being funded by somebody. And there's this line of people that have an agenda to create division. And the more they can divide the country, the more they accomplish their end goal, the more they're winning,
And
actually.
that's what's sad about it, because and I addressed the Black Lives Matter movement in that same video with the whiteboard. You'll have to check it
Yeah.
out
I
afterwards.
would love to, bro.
And I don't have personal experience with
Yeah.
that movement. I don't know people that are involved in that movement. But what I can tell you is in my cities, there was protests every day in every city for a week. And when I'm going to the grocery store, there's 60 people on the street corner holding signs. And I'll tell you what, I didn't see any violence. I didn't see
Yeah.
anybody throwing bottles, throwing rocks. I saw a lot of people that were upset about something they saw, and now they're using their First Amendment right to voice their concern.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, right? And so what sucks is you have this group of people that I believe in their core and in their values, they're not very much different from you or
Yeah.
I. And what do people want? They want security, they want financial security, they want safety, they want physical health, they want their children to be able to be educated. All of these fundamental human desires are the same on both sides of the board, right?
Yeah.
But the radical left has jumped on board the Black Lives Matter movement to weaponize it. And here's the thing, not to benefit the movement, but to benefit themselves. And they're using those people nothing more than pawns, because those people have come out in force. They have a lot of notoriety right now. They have a lot of attention in the media. And instead of trying to move this forward in a positive manner, they're weaponizing it on purpose. And it sucks. And Tommy talked about that in the video. It's like the very people, the very politicians that are acting like they're supporting you, they're just doing that because if you take a step back and look long term, it helps their agenda.
Yeah.
You think they give a shit about all the kids living in the inner cities and
Yeah.
in the hoods and all the guys gang banging? Like, dude, I was a cop in LA for 5 years, dude, working Compton, South Central, like all of those just impoverished areas. Like, tell me why it takes a white cop killing a black guy before these politicians want to say, hey, it's probably time to clean up our inner cities. Because you want to talk about racism being systemic? You know what's systemic is crime.
Yeah.
Because guys that I've arrested in Los Angeles, dude, they're like third and fourth generation gangsters. Like, hey, my great grandpa was slinging dope and banging on the street corner. This is what I do. And it's like, and it's funny. I always tell people this, man, because I've had some of the, when I would arrest a guy in Los Angeles, it would take, I mean, if it was bad traffic, sometimes he'd be in the back of my car for 2 hours before we got to the jail. Right. And I had some of the greatest conversations I've ever had with dudes that I just arrested.
Wow.
And it made me realize, like, man, yes, there's an element of personal responsibility. I'm never going to absolve people of that, because at the end of the day, you make the choice to do or not to do, right?
Yeah.
But the other side of that coin is, if you grew up from the time you were 3 years old, you were watching all your uncles and your dad and your grandpa fucking sling dope and run pimping operations.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of fortitude to step outside of that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that's something that I would be capable of stepping outside of, because that's just the steps that your life is taking. And so you want to talk about causing or addressing a systemic issue, dude, let's clean up our inner cities. Let's get these kids education. Let's teach these kids about morality and ethics and how pursuing a trade or an education is going to give you the things that you desire, not slinging dope and banging and getting in gang wars and all that kind of stuff.
Dinesh D'Souza talks about the three megaphones, right? And the megaphone that one political party has is they control Hollywood, they control education, and they control the media. And it's fascinating, not to say that, you know, I was watching Tucker Carlson the other night, and not to say that he's not a certain stance, a very conservative stance, right? And, you know, my personal views are I'm a conservative guy too, but I also try to play devil's advocate. And I think looking at Tucker, sometimes that news station, Fox, that can be as polarized as CNN. You know,
Oh,
if I'm playing devil's advocate about, you know, not trying to just feed into one narrative, even though I'm a conservative, but I voted for Obama for 2 terms. I voted for Bush Sr., and if I could have voted, I would have voted for Clinton. So my views have changed, and I've always gone with who I thought was best for the country at that point in time. And now I tend to lean more conservative. But it was funny. He was saying the other night, he was talking about how he was listing the black on black crimes where a black officer killed a white officer killed black officers. He was listing the stats around all this. And it was fascinating to me overall where the numbers fell. They didn't fall in the range. And I think it was a national projection. They didn't fall in the range that the media is pushing, which is this idea that there's all these white officers killing black folks. Not to minimize that. You said that there's definitely, I'm sure, systemic racism. Definitely the system has to be like overhauled to some degree, but to say, well, now we shouldn't have any, just let total anarchy happen. We'll defund the police. And now you and I can't even go to we can't even go to the park without being strapped with 2 9mm and 45s. I mean, I would like that anyways, but still to have to do that and be on edge like you're in Iraq or something, that's not really my idea of how I want society to kind of unfold for my kids.
And people are constantly talking about defund the police. And then you got people that are saying defund the police just means reduce their budget. Well, then say I would like a budget reduction. Those are two different things. Defund and dismantle is what a lot of the far left people are calling for. And the people that are calling for that have never lived in anarchy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, like, if anarchy takes to our streets, I'm okay with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and my family will be okay because I know what it's like to live in that environment. I know what it takes. Hey, you want to go to the grocery store that's 6 miles away? We're going to need a lead car. We're going to need a car that's carrying the goods. We're going to need a follow car. Each non-driving position is going to have an AR-15. They're going to have sectors assigned to them. We're going to have phase lines. We're going to have timelines. Like, I get it. I've done all that before.
Yeah.
If you want to have your kids raised in that environment, go ahead and abolish police because that's what's going to happen. And if you think it's going to be fun and it's going to be a free for all, no, what's going to happen is the guys that are capable are going to take from the guys that are incapable, and people are going to lose their livelihoods in the blink of an eye. It's crazy to me that people think like they can just, we'll just get rid of the police and then we're going to do whatever we want. Because I've lived in countries where people are doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, you don't want any part of that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, because the guys that have been there like you, and, I'm a former Marine, but I never went to combat, right? But I have friends that did like you, and it's fascinating. The guys that have been there, they've been boots on the ground. They've seen their best friend next to them get shot at, get killed, whatever the case might be. They don't want any part in this. They're like, you don't know what you're asking for, right? And most of these people, the politicians, as my master sergeant used to say, they couldn't lick a stamp on a rainy day in February. And they're the guys that just got out of Harvard or whatever, right? The biggest issue in their life is the paper cut they got from working on a stapler, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they're taking their experiences and they're saying, well, this sounds like a fair idea. This is so fair. We need to do this. We'll live in this utopianistic, idealistic society where I'm wearing crystals right now, right? Where we wear crystals and everybody's in peace and love and the police just go away. And, good people won't do bad things to other good people. That's just not the way human nature works. It just doesn't work that way,
And again, like, to rewind back to what I was saying, like the problem now we're trying to address the problem at the far end, right? Like after everything has taken place, like, okay, these cops did this, so now let's just abolish them altogether. Whereas, like, why don't you look at addressing the problem on the back end through education, through programs, through like these different, just giving people the different abilities within their own communities and their own cities to build their youth up, to educate their youth, give them opportunity. But I mean, fuck, dude, we send money all over the world and piss it away on everything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our inner cities are burning. you know?
And it's fascinating to me that the same people we're talking about, they want to, it's almost like we've created a new generation. And I think you and I are raising our kids differently, and hopefully some of our viewers are too. It's such an entitlement generation that the unlimited credit card purchases even transfer to the federal government. Like,
Mhm.
let's just give to everybody, increase the national debt, and we'll cross our fingers that at some point somebody won't call in those loans and we'll have to pay them back.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating me because it's like, to think that America should win, and America, where we live, should be profitable, that people should be taken care of, that those inner city, I think sometimes people pigeonhole problems and they get emotional about this one issue instead of looking at the core complexity to, like, what does the whole country look like? What does the entire state look like? We get pigeonholed on this emotional issue with a group of people, and not to say we're not concerned about those people, not to say they don't have a legitimate concern, right? Not to say that there's not systemic racism, but then to do away with structure, law and order, and police altogether. Look how many lives are saved. And you would probably know, I don't know the stats, but if we looked at the lives that are saved by police officers every day of every hour
That's
around
right.
the country, it's going to be tenfold how many police officers do something shitty, stupid, screwed up, and take somebody's life. I mean,
Yep.
there's no comparison. I automatically know that.
And the other aspect of this is like, dude, police, our job isn't just to address crime.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, hey, this guy is breaking into my house. I need the cops here. Dude, cops get called for community policing calls all the time. I've been
Yeah.
called to revive people after heart attacks, things like
Wow.
that. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, there's a reason why first responders are on a time crunch and we're always ready, because any community emergency, cops and firefighters are responding to. And a lot of them are not driven by crime. So if you
Yeah.
think like removing those people from your society is going to be beneficial, like, yeah, until your uncle has a heart attack and now there's no police, no fire, no one to take him to the hospital. Like, and the thing is, all of those systems work together. So when
Yeah.
you say abolish the police,
Yeah.
guess what? Firefighters don't have tactical abilities. Firefighters don't have guns. Firefighters don't wear bulletproof vests. They are unwilling to interject themselves, and rightfully so, into any type of like violent or you know,
Yeah.
any type of turmoil, because that's not what they're trained to do.
Well,
So
and we saw that with the church in Washington, D.C., I think. That's why it burned for so long, because the firefighters, there were so many violent protesters, they were unwilling to go into this
of course.
many 100-year-old churches to 100-year-old church to put it out. The
So when you
famous.
say abolish the police,
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, that's also going to make firefighters and first responders very less capable of doing their day-to-day jobs as well. It's a machine and it all works together. And so like you said, people aren't looking at this big picture, but to circle it back around to what's happening in Seattle right now, like I said, I wasn't there. I didn't see
Yeah.
it with my own two eyes, but talking to friends of mine and pretty high ranking police officials in different capacities throughout the state,
Yeah.
I was told that Seattle PD is openly refusing calls into that area. He knows of several assaults that took place that officers were told to stand down and do not
Wow.
respond to it.
That is
And
just.
so you have officials within SPD that are recognizing that they don't have control of this area and telling their officers not to go into this area. Meanwhile, you have these guys, they're setting up checkpoints. They're when people are going through there, they're asking like what their business is. Like I saw one girl, she was saying like, I was just trying to go to my apartment and I had to provide reasoning on who I was and where I lived and why I was coming into this area. Like, what? Like, I'm an
And
American.
allowing that. That's
I'll
being
walk,
allowed. That's
I'll walk
insane.
anywhere I want, anytime I want. And if you think you're going to stop me under the threat of physical violence or force, then I'm going to meet you with that tenfold. And again, that's what it's going to lead to. This
Yeah.
played out differently than I thought. I thought that the violence would get kicked up between patriots and the government because everybody was getting sick of getting walked all over.
Yeah.
But then it took a left turn all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and a group of people that are equally as disgusted with the government are using a different platform to rise up against them. And it's weird, man. It's weird times. But if the government doesn't get control of their cities, it's going to go right back to what I was talking about. It's going to be anarchy, you know?
And what I was going to say, just to kind of add on to what you said a second ago, and then we probably better finish up, which I could talk to you all day, by the way. You know, it's interesting because when we talk about the lawlessness that's going on, the checkpoints and these, I don't know, pseudo Antifa, whatever you want to call them, these people that don't believe in freedom, doing checkpoints and setting up stuff like that. You know, the same people that are publicly like agreeing with that, and the politicians that are saying that's okay, everybody wants to defund the police until somebody walks in with a Glock 19 and they put it to your head in your house and your home,
right,
and they kill somebody that you love. Then you have a different opinion about the necessity of police officers, and you have a different opinion to the Second Amendment and why people should have the right to bear arms in their home. It's fascinating, right? Like,
well,
this is a fascinating time right now.
and something that I've been saying a lot is because every police call is logged and there's a record of it, right?
Yeah.
It's called a call for service. Every time a call for service comes in, that's logged and that's documented. And I would be interested to see all of these far left liberals that are calling for defund the police. Let's do an analysis of their records for call for service and see how many times they've called and needed the police for something.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Guess what? I guarantee you they've all called the police every time they got scared of anything. Oh, I heard something. I think there's someone at my door. Like, and good, please call the police for that kind of stuff. That's what we're here for. But you don't get to do it on one hand and then go like make these outrageous claims that we don't need the police on the other. I guarantee you there's plenty of people crying about the police that lean on the police harder than you and I do. I could have a dude kick my door down and fucking storm my house. I'm not calling the police. Like, I'm going to handle business. You know what I mean? They're not handle business kind of people. And so you can't have it both ways, you know?
But
all right.
And I think we had a really good discussion today, and I really appreciate it. And thanks for coming on, my man. You are a patriot. Love you to death. On a side note, we got some other stuff cooking. Chris and I were on the phone with Dr. Billy DeMoss yesterday. So I'd love to off camera tell you about that. And if you want to be involved, I would definitely love to have you. 100%.
Cool, man. We'll talk about it. Yeah, I'm in the process of launching my own podcast too. So once that gets up and running, maybe you fly up and we do a face-to-face sit down.
Love it, baby. I'd be honored.
Anytime. Yeah, do long-term conversation, because that is where people start to develop opinions and understand issues. And not only people listening, but us back and forth. Like as we're doing this, thinking about solutions and presenting ideas. That's what it's all about, man. So
beautiful, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. We'll do more.
Dude, love you to death, and we'll have to share some more steaks together. I obviously need another coffee, but love you to death, man. God bless you. Thanks for what you do for our country.
Likewise. Take care, man.
Right. Semper Fi.